Picture this. It's the middle of the night, and two stunning women are out in a pitch-black graveyard, frantically digging like their lives depend on it. After tearing through hole after hole, they finally strike gold, or rather cash. They pull up a bag stuffed with a staggering 700 million won. But just as they're catching their breath and getting ready to make a run for it, they realize the dirt below them is still hiding something else. Meet Misan and Kyung. They aren't just best friends. They're absolute ride-or-dies. Even though they don't share a drop of blood, their bond is deeper than most biological sisters. In a world that's constantly trying to chew them up, they are each other's only true safety net. By day, Misan works at a cozy little flower shop, but when the sun goes down, she transforms into a hostess at a high-end bar. She's the definition of a hustler, living a super frugal life and tucking away every single penny she earns. Today, while a regular customer is browsing the flowers, Misan flashes a bright smile and shares some big news. She's about to take over the shop. But that dream didn't come cheap. It cost her almost every cent of her life savings to make it happen. Right on cue, Kyung struts into the shop. While Misan is the gentle, calm soul, Kyung is total fire. She's blunt, tough as nails, and moves with a kind of decisiveness that doesn't leave room for hesitation. They are total opposites, which is exactly why they balance each other out so perfectly. Once the work at the flower shop is wrapped up, Kyung doesn't catch a break. She hops behind the wheel to drive Misan to the nightclub. Now, Kyung's driving skills? They're legendary. She maneuvers through traffic with a precision that leaves other drivers in absolute awe. But for her, it's just another Tuesday. But driving isn't her only talent. On the side, she sells illegal weight loss pills to clients who track her down. It's one of her main sources of income, and she's always networking, reminding her customers to spread the word, because more clients mean more cash in her pocket. After dropping Misan off, a low-life thug named Kyung slips into her car. He's got a high-paying gig for her, but Kyung isn't an idiot. She knows his business is usually synonymous with prison time, so she shuts him down immediately. Kyung tries to play hardball, being a persistent creep and offering to double the pay. But Kyung isn't having it. She threatens to call the cops on the spot, finally forcing him to back off. The scene shifts to the back of the nightclub, where Misan is getting ready. She starts by putting on a blue bracelet, a signal that she's strictly there to provide company and drinks, nothing more. Being the most popular girl in the club comes with a target on her back, and the jealousy from the other hostesses is thick enough to cut with a knife. One girl even throws some serious shade, mocking Misan by saying they aren't on the same level and that she'll probably retire in glory by the end of the week. Misan just brushes it off with pure contempt. Why should she care? She's about to be a business owner with a 700 million won rental villa to her name. She doesn't have time for their petty words. As she's finishing up her makeup, another girl tries to poke the bear, telling Misan she looks ugly today. Instead of getting mad, Misan just smiles, pulls up her front camera, and hands it over so the girl can take a good look at her own reflection instead. Savage. Just then, the manager gets a text from Boss Choi. A major heavy hitter is on his way, a big boss who reportedly made a killing in the Philippines. Word on the street is that Kyung has returned to Korea to snatch up a whole string of bars, making this new guy a whale of a client that everyone needs to be ready for. But as the official hosting begins, the vibe shifts. The moment the big boss enters the room, he immediately orders the manager to remove a withered flower pot from the reception desk. It's clear this guy is dealing with some serious OCD. On top of that, he doesn't let any of the girls get too close to him, giving off a very eccentric and cold energy. After a few rounds of drinks, a veteran basketball coach finally decides to lay his cards on the table. He claims that with a seasoned coach like himself and his star players, the entire game can be played out exactly how the big boss wants it. He's clearly trying to pull the big boss into a sophisticated match-fixing scheme. But the big boss? He just listens with a silent, unreadable smile. Once the party wraps up, the coach can't stop complaining to Misan about how old man Do was incredibly rude. He brags to her, saying, "I'm about to come into a massive fortune. I could literally save your life." Misan just gives him a dismissive, half-hearted response before calling security to haul the man out of the club. Meanwhile, Kyung, the kind of girl who can never just sit still, is totally absorbed in a new sports betting site she just discovered. She had just won a small amount of money when Misan's wasted coworker stumbled into her car. Annoyed by Kyung's cold attitude, the girl snaps, "Do you even know who I was just drinking with? That was the famous Coach Choi. 65-59, the other team lost. You should bet on his team. I guarantee it's a gold mine." First, Kyung brushes it off as nothing more than drunk rambling. But just as she's about to drive the girl home, her phone pings with a chilling notification. Boss Choi is actually a professional rental scammer. The scene shifts back to the club, where Misan returns to the staff room only to find her coworkers collapsed on the floor, sobbing and cursing out Boss Choi. Turns out, Boss Choi had dangled a too-good-to-be-true deal, buying a Gangnam villa at a massive discount through an internal connection, and tricked the girls into handing over their entire life savings. He took their money and poured it into a risky double-deposit real estate scam, but it blew up in his face, leaving him with absolutely nothing. Furious and desperate, Misan immediately goes looking for Boss Choi to demand answers. But she's met with a shock. Boss Choi, unable to deal with the loss, has ended his own life. Shaking with pure rage, Misan and Kyung storm into the funeral and seize the donation box filled with condolence money. The crowd tries to block them, but there's no stopping these two. Still, compared to the 700 million won Misan invested, the small change in that box is just a drop in the ocean. It's nowhere near enough. Left with no other choice, Misan makes the heartbreaking decision to mortgage her flower shop, hoping to use that cash just to survive for a while. The next day, Misan tries to pick up the pieces of her life and heads to the bar for work as usual. But she hasn't been there long when her phone buzzes with a terrifying text from the bank. The money she just got from mortgaging her shop yesterday? Someone has already transferred every single cent out of her account, leaving her completely broke. Misan immediately descends into a full-blown panic. She knows for a fact that the only person who has ever known her bank PIN is Kyung. Fuming with rage, she spins around and sprints home. But the scene waiting for her inside nearly makes her pass out from anger. Kyung has taken every last cent and blown it all on sports betting. Kyung frantically tries to explain herself, claiming she got the inside scoop on the exact score of today's game from another hostess last night. She was certain this bet couldn't lose. At this point, Misan has no moves left. She can only close her eyes and pray that this gamble somehow brings their money back. And believe it or not, it actually works. The final score is a perfect match. But just as they're about to withdraw their massive winnings, the owner of the betting site vanishes into thin air. He even dares to leave a taunting message, basically daring the players to call the police on him. Misan and Kyung are left shell-shocked. This time, they are truly backed into a corner with nowhere to run. By nightfall, Kyung is forced to swallow her pride and call Kyung, asking if his previous offer is still on the table. Kyung immediately mocks her, sneering, "Did you and Misan lose all your money already?" Since she's the one begging for a favor, Kyung has to suppress her fury and plead with him for a chance to make some cash. Kyung tells her to come meet him face-to-face to discuss the details. At the same time, Kyung, who has now seized control of the bar's operations, forces Misan into a private room to host a client named Jumin. He pushes her to wear this and that, giving her strict orders to make sure the client is satisfied. Misan is so full of hate that she looks like she could kill Kyung with a single glance, yet she doesn't utter a word of protest. A little later, Kyung arrives at the bar, but Kyung is nowhere to be found in the room. Meanwhile, the big boss's wife, Jiyeon, visits her usual haunt and hands an expensive luxury watch to a male host named Sungwon, whom she's clearly fond of. She tells him that her husband, Boss Do, lost a massive amount of money because of manager Choi's mess, so she won't be able to drop by as often for a while. A moment later, Kyung corners two male models in a stairwell for a private conversation. He has no idea that Kyung is lurking right above them. She quickly hides and begins eavesdropping. That's when she hears Sungwon drop an absolute bombshell. The big boss has secretly stashed away 700 million won in illegal cash. Sungwon is currently plotting with Kyung to quietly steal that money for themselves. Kyung, hearing about such an easy payday, agrees to the plan without a second thought. Later, Kyung approaches Kyung, acting as if she knows nothing. He hands her a black bag with a specific address written on it. Kyung grabs the bag and hurries out of there. In another part of town, after finishing their drinks, Jumin takes Misan to a roadside food stall. He pulls out 2 thick stacks of cash and pushes them toward her, telling her to have a few more drinks and not to be shy. But Misan just gives a faint, cold smile and refuses to take the money. She turns around, walks out of the stall, and quietly lights a cigarette. 10 minutes later, Kyung pulls up to a prearranged location, only to discover that the people waiting for a ride are Sungwon and the big boss's wife, Jiyeon. The moment he gets in the car, Sungwon starts sweet-talking Jiyeon. His goal, of course, is to fish for the exact location where the big boss hid the cash. Jiyeon, completely charmed by his flattery, doesn't think twice and blabs that her husband bought several plots of land out in Gyeonggi province. It's blindingly obvious now. The money is definitely stashed at one of those locations. But just as the words leave her mouth, Jiyeon starts dry heaving out of nowhere. Kyung wastes no time pulling the car over to the curb. While Sungwon is busy playing the caring boyfriend and tending to Jiyeon, Kyung seizes her chance. She snatches his phone and finds a string of unread messages from Kyung. The texts reveal they're ready to move in on the money at any moment. And Kyung specifically mentions how much he's looking forward to Misan's big debut. The realization hits Kyung like a ton of bricks. Misan is in serious danger. Without waiting for Sungwon to notice she's gone, she floors the gas and peels away. Meanwhile, back at the club, Jumin has already started getting handsy and aggressive with Misan. Right at the breaking point, Kyung bursts into the room and smashes 2 liquor bottles directly over his head, knocking him out cold. When Misan finally comes to, she finds Kyung sitting right there by her side. Seeing that her best friend is okay, Kyung quickly fills her in on the big boss's hidden fortune. She tells her that if they can just find a way to grab that cash, they can finally escape this hellish life for good and never have to take anyone's abuse ever again. But Misan is still trembling with fear. She knows the big boss isn't someone you mess with. If they get caught, they're dead meat. Kyung looks her straight in the eye and asks the ultimate question. Can you really survive living like this for another 4 years? That question hits Misan right where it hurts. She realizes she can't take another second of this misery. To her, risking their lives for a chance at freedom is better than being stepped on and bullied forever. From that moment, they are all in. They start secretly tailing the big boss to a bar, where they spot him talking to a woman with a completely shaved head. Kyung warns Misan that this woman is the big boss's right-hand fixer. A cold-blooded, ruthless soul. Anyone she sets her sights on either ends up crippled or just disappears. Despite knowing how deadly these people are, Misan grits her teeth and walks into the bar anyway. She's determined to dig up intel on the hidden cash and find a way out of their desperate situation. Inside, the big boss is chatting with a wealthy tycoon he knows. Shortly after, 2 masked hostesses approach the table, and the one sitting right next to the big boss is none other than Misan. While the tycoon and the other hostess are talking up a storm, the big boss acts like Misan is invisible, even going so far as to forbid her from pouring his drink. Seeing the awkward tension, the tycoon tries to play peacemaker and pours a glass for Misan himself. Misan doesn't waste any time. She goes straight for the jugular, exposing the tycoon for buying up all those villas and causing Manager Choi's downfall. The tycoon's face goes pale as he realizes she knows too much. He immediately dodges the subject and drags the other hostess away to find some fun elsewhere. At this point, whether the big boss has sensed something off about Misan or has just become intrigued by her, he demands that she take off her mask. Misan responds by playfully covering his eyes and proposing a little game. They'll take turns drinking, and if he wins, she'll unmask. The big boss is clearly feeling the vibe and agrees to the challenge on the spot. The 2 of them go back and forth, knocking back drink after drink. But just as the tension is peaking, the manager leans in and whispers in the big boss's ear. There's an emergency outside. The big boss is forced to put his glass down and step out to handle the situation. What the big boss didn't realize was that this was all part of Misan and Kyung's master plan. They had a strict agreement. If Misan wasn't out of that bar within 30 minutes, Kyung would jump in as backup. To create the perfect diversion, Kyung intentionally smashed into the big boss's luxury car just to lure him out of the building. The second the big boss stepped outside, Kyung played the part of the panic driver, apologizing profusely and claiming she could cover everything through insurance. Not wanting any unnecessary drama, the big boss just told her to beat it. But to stall for more time, Kyung became a total pest, clinging to him and refusing to leave. Eventually, the big boss lost his cool and screamed at her to get lost. Not one to be intimidated, Kyung threw a few insults right back at his face before finally hopping into her car. While he was occupied with the accident outside, Misan was busy inside using a hacking program to quickly bypass the security on the phone he'd left on the table. She copied every single bit of data, including the exact locations of his private villas. By the time the big boss handled the situation and headed back inside, Misan had vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, Kyung had been working his own shady connections and finally tracked the money down to a private cemetery. But he was one step too late. Misan and Kyung were already there. However, since they didn't have the exact coordinates for the stash, they were stuck digging hole after hole. Realizing they couldn't just excavate the entire cemetery, Kyung noticed a soil compactor sitting right next to one specific grave. She bet everything that the treasure was buried right there. The 2 of them immediately rolled up their sleeves and got to work. After some serious backbreaking labor, they actually hit the jackpot. They pulled a black bag out of the dirt, and inside was the full 700 million won in cold, hard cash. Misan and Kyung were so overwhelmed that they were both on the verge of tears. But just as they were getting ready to make their getaway, Kyung spotted something else. A wooden board hidden further down in the hole. When they pried it open and saw what was inside, they both froze in pure disbelief. It was a crate overflowing with solid gold bars. Caught in a whirlwind of pure adrenaline and absolute terror, they hauled the gold into their car. Misan couldn't hide her joy, but Kyung was spiraling into a panic. Stealing 700 million won was one thing, but this much gold? There was no way the boss would just let that slide without a bloodbath. Right as Kyung was drowning in worry, Kyung happened to drive by and spotted them. He instantly put two and two together and realized they had found the stash. So he whipped the car around and started a high-stakes chase. Eventually, Kyung managed to force their car off the road. When Misan and Kyung locked the doors and refused to get out, he grabbed an iron shovel nearby, ready to smash the windows to pieces. Kyung tried to roll down the window to talk her way out of it, but it was too late. Kyung's eyes had already locked onto the thick stacks of cash inside. Seeing his reaction, Misan grabbed the bag of money, kicked the door open, and made a run for it. But she didn't get far before Kyung caught up and violently knocked her to the ground. Kyung rushed in to save her friend, but she was met with several brutal kicks from Kyung. Realizing she was about to get even more violent, Misan desperately threw the bag of cash at him, screaming for him to just take the money and get the hell out of there. Kyung, satisfied that he's secured the bag, starts to walk away. But then, in a heart-stopping second, he doubles back and peers through the car window. Misan and Kyung's hearts nearly leap out of their chests. Luckily, his eyes completely miss the gold bars hidden inside. Once he's gone, Misan is a bit confused. She asks Kyung why they had to put on such an elaborate act and just let him walk away with 700 million won. Kyung explains the genius behind the move. It was a total smoke screen. By letting Kyung take the cash, they've ensured they won't be suspects. They wanted Kyung to believe that the bag of money was the only thing in that hole. Now, when the big boss realizes both his cash and his gold are missing, he'll naturally assume Kyung stole it all. This buys the girls the perfect window to slip out of South Korea while the two criminal factions tear each other apart. Next, Misan tracks down Sister Bang, the woman who originally brought her into the industry, to ask for a major favor. Sister Bang holds some serious blackmail on the Japanese ambassador to Korea, and Misan figures they can use that leverage to smuggle the gold into Japan. After hearing the plan, Sister Bang doesn't hesitate to name her price, a staggering 1 billion won fee. With no other choice, Misan grits her teeth and agrees. On top of that, she promises an extra 500 million won bonus if Sister Bang can guarantee the gold makes it to Japan safely. Sister Bang doesn't waste any time. She plays the incriminating video of the Japanese ambassador and hands over the business card of a high-stakes broker who handles illegal border crossings. Misan and Kyung immediately set their plan in motion. They decide to divide and conquer. Misan will handle the negotiations with the ambassador, while Kyung takes the business card to the broker to get fake passports made. Before they head out, Misan gives Kyung a specific instruction. Make sure to get a fake passport for Sister Bang as well. With the plan set, they split up. But the moment the door clicks shut, Sister Bang, who had supposedly been fast asleep, suddenly opens her eyes. Cut to Misan at the flower shop. The ambassador arrives quickly, and Misan lays out the terms. In exchange for deleting the video, he has to smuggle a bag into Japan. The ambassador is cold and dismissive, telling Misan he's met plenty of women like her. If he helps her once, she'll be a leech for the rest of his life. He decides to refuse her right out of the gate. Misan doesn't argue. She simply starts uploading the video to social media. The ambassador's face turns pale instantly. He lunges for the phone, only to realize that Misan uploaded it to a private account where only she can see it. He breathes a massive sigh of relief, but the power dynamic has shifted. Terrified of what she might do next, he drops the tough guy act and quickly agrees to her demands. Meanwhile, the big boss has discovered that his fortune is gone. His first move? He clears his wife, Ji-yun, of suspicion by having the ruthless bald woman take care of her body. Next, the bald woman storms into the nightclub. The second she walks in, she grabs Sungwon by the head and pins him down. The other male models are scared out of their wits and start singing like birds, snitching on everything they know. In another part of town, Kyung is staring at his mountain of cash with a dumb grin on his face when his phone rings. It's Sungwon, calling for help. Kyung doesn't care. He tells Sungwon to fend for himself and never call again before hanging up, completely unaware of the storm that's about to hit him. But the very next second, the bald woman bursts into the room. To save his own skin, Kyung spills everything he knows, but that doesn't stop him from getting a brutal, bone-crushing beating for his trouble. Meanwhile, the big boss is muttering to himself in a cold rage. He claims he couldn't care less about his wife's affairs with male hosts. All he cares about is the outward status of being a married man. But the one thing in this world he absolutely cannot tolerate is someone putting their hands on his money. Kyung frantically explains that he only snatched the cash from Misan and Kyung. As for the gold bars the boss is hunting for, he swears he's completely in the dark. Hearing this, the boss delivers a chilling order. The bald woman is to take Kayoung and find Misan and Kayoung immediately. In another part of town, Kayoung tracks down the fake passport operation. The dealer takes her deposit and tells her to return tomorrow with the rest of the cash to pick them up. But the moment she gets home, she's hit with a devastating bombshell. Sister Bang has vanished, and she's taken every single gold bar with her. Kayoung frantically calls her, but Sister Bang doesn't sound even slightly guilty. She coldly reminds Kayoung that the hiding spot was a secret between them, then hangs up. Sister Bang heads straight to a bar and hires a squad of male hosts to party with. When she pulls out the gold bars to pay them, their eyes light up with pure greed. Sungwon catches wind of the gold and immediately tips off Kayoung. Desperate to save his own life, Kayoung leads the bald woman straight to the bar, right as Misan and Kayoung arrive, also looking for the traitorous Sister Bang. Before anyone can react, the bald woman marches up to Sister Bang and delivers a massive, stinging slap across her face. But Sister Bang doesn't even flinch. Instead, she tells the bald woman to take her to the big boss. In the next breath, Kayoung lunges in to rescue her. Sister Bang grabs a heavy ashtray, hurls it at the bald woman, and in the ensuing chaos, she and Kayoung manage to scramble out of the room. But as they reach the stairwell, Sister Bang turns around and slaps Kayoung hard. And here's the real kicker. It's revealed that Kayoung is actually Sister Bang's biological daughter, while Misan was just someone she picked up along the way. Sister Bang tells Kayoung to snap out of it, saying that in this life, you're the only person who can save yourself. With those cold words, she walks away, leaving her daughter behind. Fuming with rage, Kayoung exits through the back of the bar, only to run smack into Kayoung. However, Kayoung is so battered and broken at this point that he's no match for her. Kayoung flips the script and gives him a taste of his own medicine. Later, she meets up with Misan and tells her she knows exactly where the gold is hidden. But Misan is stubborn. She insists they have to go back and save Sister Bang. The two friends hit a stalemate, and once again, they split up to handle things their own way. Kayoung goes after the gold, while Misan goes to rescue Sister Bang. It doesn't take long for Misan to spot the bald woman forcing Sister Bang into a car. She peels out and tails them to a remote industrial warehouse. There, the bald woman throws Sister Bang into a massive vat of thick, black asphalt, leaving only a single rope tied to her right hand. Sister Bang is left dangling over the edge of the pit, using every ounce of her strength just to keep from being swallowed by the tar. The boss grills Sister Bang, demanding to know where the gold is hidden. But she's no amateur. She knows that even if she talks, she's a dead woman walking. Suddenly, Misan spots Sister Bang trapped in the vat, and their eyes meet for a brief, heavy second. To break her, the boss pulls out a syringe of truth serum and jams it into her. In a desperate move to protect Misan from being spotted, Sister Bang screams the location of the gold at the top of her lungs. The boss immediately calls his goons, ordering them to head to the station to find the person, then leans in to force the locker password out of her. Sister Bang whispers for him to come closer, acting like she's about to spill the secret, but the bald woman senses a trap. Before she can react, Sister Bang lunges forward, grabbing the bald woman and dragging her down into the thick, black asphalt with her. Watching his top enforcer drown in the tar, the boss doesn't even try to help. Instead, he just complains about them getting his clothes dirty. Just like that, both women sink to the bottom and vanish forever. Meanwhile, Kayoung arrives at Locker 12 at the station. She tries a simple code, 123, and clicks. It opens. By the time the boss's men arrive, Kayoung is long gone with every single bar of gold. That night, when a shell-shocked Misan returns home, Kayoung shows her the recovered treasure. She explains that the password wasn't a birthday or anything complicated. It was just 123. See, back when they were kids, Sister Bang used to send Kayoung on delivery runs to that exact locker. Whenever the cops were closing in, Sister Bang would shout 123 as a signal for them to run together. It was their private secret code. But hearing this doesn't bring Misan any joy. When she learns Sister Bang is dead, Kayoung tries to comfort Misan in her own cold way, saying that for someone like Sister Bang, an early death is actually a mercy. That's the breaking point for Misan. Infuriated, she screams at Kayoung to take the gold and get the hell out. Kayoung keeps a stone face until she steps out the door, where she finally breaks down and bursts into tears. Later, Kayoung brings home the fake passports, but Misan does the unthinkable. She burns them. She's not running anymore. She's staying to get revenge for Sister Bang. The duo heads straight to the hospital to confront a battered Kayoung. Using a mix of fake drugs as a threat and a promise to crush the big boss, they finally get him to talk. It turns out the boss has been running a massive illegal betting site, partnering with a basketball coach to manipulate game results for years. The players are being blackmailed into following orders, fearing for their lives. There's a high-stakes game coming up, and the boss is betting his entire fortune on Team Dragon losing by 6 points or more. This is the kill shot. If Team Dragon actually wins that day, the boss will be completely wiped out. With this intel, Misan and Kaiyong prepare to mobilize their own army. They gather all the girls from the bar and drop a bombshell. The man behind Boss Choi's scam was the big boss all along. He's the real mastermind who stole their life savings. And Choi was just a pawn he killed to cover his tracks. Misan lays it all on the line. She's going to dismantle the boss's empire, and she needs their help. One by one, the girls nod in agreement, ready to go to war. With the plan in motion, the girls hit the streets. They work their magic on every wealthy client they know, spreading the inside scoop that Team Dragon is guaranteed to win. Their goal? To drive the betting odds sky high. Meanwhile, Misan goes on a solo mission to find the team's star player, Han. Because of the coach's constant interference, Han has been forced to play like trash, and his reputation is in the gutter. He's sick of throwing games, and Misan knows it. She gets right under his skin, taunting him, asking how much longer he plans to let that coach own his life. Game day arrives. The tension is suffocating. Team Dragon starts off trailing behind, and it looks like the boss's plan is working. In the final quarter, Han gets into a heated scuffle with an opponent, and the boss watches from the stands with a smug, arrogant grin. But then, the switch flips. Han steps up to the free throw line and sinks the ball with ice-cold precision. From that moment on, he goes beast mode, single-handedly turning the tide of the game. The coach is freaking out, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. But with the TV cameras rolling and thousands of fans watching, he doesn't dare say a word. Han pours every ounce of his soul into the game, leading a ferocious comeback. When the final buzzer sounds, Team Dragon wins by a massive margin. The boss's face turns an ashy shade of black. He's lost everything. It doesn't take him long to realize that Misan and Kaiyong were the ones who pulled the rug out from under him. To flush them out, he has his goons kidnap all the girls from the bar. When the news reaches Misan and Kaiyong, they have no choice but to head to the industrial warehouse with the gold bars. But these two are always one step ahead. Misan gets out to negotiate, while Kaiyong stays behind the wheel, engine idling. Misan demands that the boss release the girls first. Once she confirms that her friends have safely escaped, Kaiyong flashes the car's hazard lights, the secret signal. In a flash, Misan hauls the suitcase of gold back into the car. They never had any intention of handing it over. Kaiyong slams the gas, charging the car directly into the crowd. But in the chaos, the boss manages to ram their vehicle, forcing them to a grinding halt. He rips Kaiyong out of the car, and seeing her friend in danger, Misan lunges at the boss, wrapping a rope around his neck to strangle him. But despite their desperation, they don't have the strength to finish him off, and the boss breaks free. Just as the boss is about to deliver a fatal blow to Kaiyong, Misan intervenes just in time. The boss shifts his target to Misan, but that's the opening Kaiyong needs. She gathers every bit of strength she has left and shoves the boss backward, right into the vat of boiling asphalt. It's poetic justice. The boss is going down to the depths to join Kaiyong's mother. To wrap things up, Misan syncs their location to Kaiyong's phone, perfectly framing him to take the fall for the murder. As the story closes, we see Misan and Kaiyong walking side by side down the road. They might be broke again, but their fire hasn't burned out, and their dreams for the future aren't stopping for anyone. And that brings us to the end of this incredible journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.